Welcome to the Freedom Camp Podcast, rooted in truth, growing in freedom, and built on the belief that you weren't meant to grow alone. Each week, I'll share honest stories, insights, and simple questions to help you explore the unseen things that keep you from living in the freedom that's already yours. And take brave, intentional steps toward the life you were made for. This is your space to reconnect with your authentic self and grow in freedom on purpose. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Freedom Camp Podcast. I thought I would do something a little different today. Not that I have a strict schedule that I adhere to with these podcasts or an agenda in which I do them. But today I wanted to focus on forgiveness. And specifically, I wanted to share a story about the power of forgiveness and the value of forgiveness and share some synchronicity moments that have happened recently concerning forgiveness. So this week in Freedom Camp, guess what we talked about? Forgiveness. We are doing Soul Month, and we are looking at our emotions, and we are looking at connection, specifically because for this round, the connection part is connected to the holidays, connected to lots of opportunities to connect, or maybe there aren't a lot of opportunities to connect and you're feeling like you wish that there were, or that there should be, or something like that. So we're also looking at connecting with ourselves, connecting with God, and connecting with others. So, forgiveness. A few weeks ago, I was not feeling well. And I was taking a super hot bath and suddenly noticed that I was in a really deep place of prayer, like a really deep place of prayer. Meaning, I hadn't planned it. I was emotionally connected, and we were going places that I had no intention of going. All that to say, what ended up coming from that was a realization that, for those that don't know, I was recently diagnosed with an autoimmune condition that means there is antibodies in my body that are attacking another part of my body. And so when I was in this place of prayer, what was coming up is, while I have been doing so many things physically with my body, there is likely, I think, a component of this that is emotional and spiritual and mental as well. And so it felt like in this time of prayer that God was bringing up all these things that I thought I was done with. I thought I had forgiven. I thought those, water under the bridge, we're moving on. So that then connects me to one of the other fun parts. A friend of mine recently did a podcast on forgiveness, which I'm going to link below. And in describing that podcast, mentioned the same conversation with me that I'm now mentioning, because the example in the bathtub is exactly how it plays out. So, this conversation that we had a few years ago was on comparing forgiveness to an onion. And you peel back layers, you kind of come back around to something, um, and you think you're done with it, but there's a deeper layer to go. Well, like I just said, all these things were coming up that I thought I had dealt with, that I thought I was done, like forgiven, water under the bridge. Well, I was at that point in time and in that place of freedom and in that place of growth. Now I'm in a new place. Like there's another layer that has been opened up now. And so as I was exploring in prayer, thinking through like initially I felt like shame and I felt kind of frustrated and like, oh, I thought I was done with this. Like, why is this coming up again? What do I need to forgive now? Well, one of the things that I realized is a lot of the things that were coming up were things that happened to me. And they were not good, were, like full on, abuse, bad stuff. Not like, I don't know, Bobby pulled my pigtail when I was 5. These are on past that. Here's what came up. I had forgiven the other person. I had not forgiven myself. I had not um, reconciled with myself. And I don't mean that I caused it. And I don't mean um, anything really other than making peace and forgiving myself for something that happened to me that I'm now dealing with health wise. So, in a sense, it's like things happened to me. I forgave that person or that situation, and then it stopped. Mm, not entirely. I also, in some instances, forgave God for um, allowing, in a sense, it to happen, and then it stopped. What I hadn't done was gone back and looked at my part in it. And some of the things I had nothing to do with. Bad stuff happens. Some of them, though, mm, mm, well, I saw that red flag and that warning sign and didn't pay attention to that flashing light and kept barreling on for whatever reason. Ultimately, not that it's all anyone's fault. It's really irrelevant whose fault it is. The point is coming back to self and realizing that I needed to forgive myself. I needed to release myself and say, I forgive you. And so there was this profound moment in the bathtub, my bathtub moment, which at the end of this podcast, I'm going to lead you through a short bathtub moment yourself and tell you why. So that was another like connection. So just last week, or maybe 2 weeks ago now, this friend of mine posted his podcast all about forgiveness, which is I've listened to it twice. I still haven't grasped the fullness of it. They go into places I didn't know existed with forgiveness. It's awesome. It is talking about like corporate forgiveness, talking about different worldviews and how they view forgiveness, even getting into kind of what I was just talking about, this connection or attachment or identity even. Something can happen to us, or we can like take something on as like, this is like part of who I am. This defined me. This event defined my personality, for example. And what does that mean if I forgive myself for it, or if I forgive the other person? How do I separate myself from that or not? So there were a couple more moments of synchronicity, so to speak, with this. Um, Also, yesterday morning in a coaching call, my client was talking about movement. That was the topic to explore, and a list of reasons why it would be good to move more, and a list of reasons why there was resistance to doing said movement. And so much of it was wrapped around the same kind of thing that I was dealing with in the bathtub, meaning um, a life of a childhood, a past of abuse, a past of the body even feeling like my body is a magnet for abuse, or feeling like um, at odds with my body. This is my client speaking, but I can completely relate to this. And so it was then reminding me after this coaching call, I'm then kind of thinking like, oh yeah, well, we just talked about forgiveness in Freedom Camp this week, birthed out of the bathtub experience a couple weeks ago for me. And now this client is talking about, it starts off, let's explore movement, and we're actually digging into um, this contentious relationship with ourselves sometimes, and things that have happened to us, and seeing the power and the value in forgiveness and in forgiving ourselves, even if we had nothing to do with it, especially if you had nothing to do with it. Forgive yourself. Give yourself the, give your nervous system. What I was noticing is when we talked about it in Freedom Camp, I think the first question was like, what do you notice when you forgive? How do you feel? What do you think? And all of the answers essentially were relief, release, something of like a whew. So where is that coming from? What's the value in that? Well, to me, it's coming from, we're carrying this energy, we're carrying this weight in, maybe in bitterness, maybe in frustration, in anger, in like, ah, that's not fair. And when we release it, there is this lightness to us. There's a redistribution. There's a flow. We can now, the river is not clogged. It can flow. And then connection is what comes from that. Oh, now instead of being mad at my body for not working the way that it's supposed to, oh, now I can get curious. Now I can partner with my body. Hey, body, what do you need today? How can I support you? How can I love you? How can I be compassionate towards you instead of like rage against the machine, like, oh, why don't you work for me, body? So I was like, all these things were swirling together clearly as I'm just babbling here, but I hope this is making sense and I am going somewhere. So, so then there was this conversation yesterday, this coaching conversation. And then there was another coaching conversation yesterday. And in that coaching conversation, I was working with my coach, my amazing coach, with Chronically Healthy. and I will link them as well. Phenomenal group, business people. And so we were talking about, I was sharing some of my bathtub experience and saying, I feel like what's happening for me after getting this diagnosis that I'd been trying to get for like 10 years, and I finally got through Chronically Healthy, meaning someone finally listened to me and gave me the test that I wanted. I said, I feel like what's happening is there's been so much of a focus on my body and what I'm eating and how I'm moving and sleeping and resting and hydration and supplements, and all of that's great. But there's this like deep interwovenness with my mind, my soul, and my spirit and my body. And I feel like I need some time to integrate what happened during this bathtub prayer. What happened when I forgave myself? What happened when I'm acknowledging and looking at going back, peeling the layer of the onion again, and looking at forgiveness through another lens, through a deeper lens of freedom? And what does that mean at this point? Seeing in my blood work that there's antibodies that are attacking my body. I don't want to attack my body. And then realizing I hadn't forgiven myself for that. I hadn't forgiven myself for that. I was still blaming myself for that. So in that conversation with my coach Dylan with Chronically Healthy, yes, definitely, of course, yes, that is such a big part of it. So this isn't something that I don't have like scientific studies proving the validity or the value of forgiveness. But I can tell in my own health, my own existence, my own experience of life, a profound, profound difference since that bathtub experience. And part of that bathtub experience was also claiming the freedom. So what I want to encourage you to do now is to take a moment and think about something that you want to release. Think about something that you want to forgive. And I don't mean want like necessarily you feel warm and fuzzy, like, oh, I just like a teddy bear or whatever. I mean, even like maybe a conviction to forgive. I don't like to use the word should typically, but this kind of like, I need to. I think it would be wise to. How about one of those two words? And this can be something that you are forgiving yourself, something you're forgiving God, something that you're forgiving others, something you're doing all three with. So now that you've got your thing, now the thing to do is to look at it, like hold it up, write it down, ideally write all of this. What does it feel like? What does it look like? Is it like heavy chains dragging you down? Is it slippery and slimy and kind of you can't quite grasp it? Is it like walking chest high through quicksand and you can't get a deep breath? What does it feel like to have that as a part of you? And then, ideally, separate yourself from it. So view it out here, separate from you. What does it look like now as its own entity that you're not carrying with you because you're about to let it go? Does it maybe look smaller, or maybe it's even more elusive, Or maybe it's now like, oh, I see it. It's a brown bag with 3.5 pounds inside. Whatever it is, you want to have a visualization of it, and then you want to leave it at the feet of God. And I'm specifically saying leave it at the feet of God versus hand it to him, which implies that he's going to take it from you, because I don't know what God's going to do with it. And it doesn't much matter to me, maybe to you, I don't know. But for me, it's like, I just don't want it anymore. I am choosing to forgive this. I'm choosing to release it. I'm choosing to let it go. If God drop kicks it to kingdom come, cool. If God gives it a big hug and a kiss and redeems the whole thing, cool. Like, I don't know what God's going to do with it. This exercise is you releasing it. And then this is the other cool part. So, back in Joshua, it talks about the Israelites and the stones of remembrance. So I've got this little bucket with these stones, and I write important dates on one side, and then like a little, 2-word note on the back. And I keep these stones of remembrance because they help me remember these like line in the sand moments. Today, actually, on my calendar, my kitchen calendar, it's my take a stand day. So on November 6th, some year of my life, I took a stand. I don't even remember what the stand is anymore. It's been a while. But I keep these dates on the calendar because it helps me to remember growth. It helps me to remind myself, wait a minute, I took a stand this day. When you take a stand, it doesn't mean you're never going to be fought against again. It doesn't mean you're never going to be challenged again. It's a reminder, wait, this day I took a stand. So this is like your bathtub moment. So you take maybe it's a piece of paper, maybe it's a little rock, whatever it is for you, the day that you're doing this, forgave myself or forgave Bob or whatever, something to help you remember what this day is about. And then when you, the enemy, whoever, brings that up into your mind again, tries to get your soul, your emotions all wrapped up in, I can't believe they did that, and get all fired up and, oh, wait a minute. I chose to forgive myself this day. I chose to forgive God. I chose to forgive this other person. And then the last part of this is to receive your freedom, is to literally, I choose forgiveness and I receive freedom. I am free to love myself. I am free to forgive this other person. I'm free to forgive God for something that happened that hurt, that I don't understand and still not understand. I can still forgive God. And that way, the connection, the communication is open. So I hope that this was helpful. I hope that you are encouraged to release something, to forgive. And I hope that you will share this with someone who may need it. I hope you will check out Boaz's podcast that I will have in the show notes. And then also, as always, thank you so much for listening. Thanks for listening to the Freedom Camp podcast, where we believe freedom is nurtured from within and grows when you tend to it. If this stirred something in you, let it take root this week and see what grows. And if you enjoyed this or found it meaningful, please give the gift of a review, share it with a friend, and leave a comment below.
It helps us build this podcast community because we weren't meant to grow alone.